gentlemen, what is up and what is going on, and welcome back to another installment of the Rufus Rundown podcast. Now, we got a pretty good schedule on this one for the Monday installment, obviously Championship Sunday having taken place, and there is a lot, especially between the Bucks and the Packers, oh my, to unpack, and just, yeah, like I said, a lot to unpack, so we'll get into that. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Vin's Organics. Of course, you're overpaying for your CBD products. Your CBD oil, CBD gummies, all the above, you're overpaying for it. But you got pain, you got soreness, bruises, whatever it may be, and you want to get rid of it. How do you do it? Vin's Organics. Natural herbal blend. Rub it on, smells good, tingles a little bit, and it takes the pain away. Like I said, all natural, all herbal stuff, so there's not going to be a lot of like scientifically to create anything stuff like that. It's just all natural herbal stuff that's really good for you. Smells good too. All for a much less of a price than your CBD products. So go check it out at vinsorganics.com. Also, Elite Athletic Gear is gear by athletes. For athletes, use your code RUFUSRUNDOWN for 15% off over there at Elite Athletic Gear. I still use a lot of their gear now in the gym, the headbands, the sleeves, all the above. But go check them out over EliteAthleticGear.com. And also Ethan Souza Design, like you say right there. Ethan Souza Design, let's get creative for all your graphic design needs. Hit up Ethan Souza. He's helped me out a lot with everything that I've needed for all of my graphic design needs. And also, too, he's looking for sponsorships for his race car in this upcoming Seekonk Speedway race season. So all the information to that stuff's going to be linked in the description below. And, of course, you can check out my social medias as well to see exactly how to help out Ethan and what he's looking for in that. And he's going to be coming on the show very soon as well, too, as soon as we can find a day that works for both of us. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The Bucks beating the Packers by a score of 31-26. Now, like I said, when I said there's a lot to unpack, the Bills-Chiefs game is what it is. This game, there is a ton, just a ton of stuff to unpack. I mean, Tom Brady going to his 10th career Super Bowl in the first year with this Bucks team, tying Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers for NFC Championship wins. Just 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. LaFleur electing to kick the field goal down 8. Aaron Rodgers questioning the future of the team. Just the blown coverage at the end of the first. I mean, you name it. This game had it, and it is now tailing off even more. It just, I don't even know. So I mean, really, like I said, a lot to unpack. My big thing is with this game, is that I was not that impressed by Tom Brady once again, and I'm really getting sick and tired of. I mean, here's the thing: I'm not arguing the fact that whether Tom Brady's a GOAT or not. I'm not. Tom Brady is undoubtedly the greatest football player and greatest team sport player to ever step on the planet, hands down. Hands down is the greatest to ever do it. Not arguing that, but nothing that he's done in this postseason or done in this season has changed an opinion for me. He was already that to begin with, and I don't think anything he's doing in this playoffs is changing a lot of people's opinions. It's a lot. It's really Peyton Manning vibes from his final season. You know, I mean, this isn't going to be Brady's final season, but it's just the rest of the team and so many weapons around him just carrying him. And that's exactly what's happening. This is the team around him. There's much better weapons. And every team that these Bucks have played, they played a team that made the playoffs that was below 500 in the Redskins at 7-9. The Saints, who beat themselves, and Drew Brees playing through 11 fractured ribs, a torn rotator cuff, Michael Thomas playing here, you know, and a team that, and no Taysom Hill, a team that was definitely busted up and did not play well at all. Did not play well by any means necessary. Beat themselves. I mean, Tampa didn't outright outplay New Orleans. New Orleans beat themselves more than Tampa beat them. And then you saw the same thing with this Packers game. Just the Packers just not capitalizing on any field position, not capitalizing on the turnovers, and again, beating themselves into this game. And of course, the field goal thing, I don't know if I have as big of an issue with it as most people do. Bold to give it back to Tom Brady, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing, and I'll break down both sides of this. And I just... that pass interference call with the flop is just insanely bad. It's just an insanely bad call. Now, was there a little bit of hold of the jersey there? Yes. But that flag was not thrown for the hold on the jersey. That flag was not thrown for that reason. That flag was thrown because he flopped and the referee threw that flag late. If it was a hold, the referee would have thrown it right off the bat. That flag would have been there. Not late the way that he threw that. He threw that flag late because he saw him flop And that's the end of the story. He threw it because he flopped. And Tom Brady, in that sense, in that play, on third down, got bailed out. And us as football fans, we as football fans, as the football world, were robbed of Aaron Rodgers getting the ball on his own 20, own 25, with a minute and change to a minute 50, what would it be? Probably about a minute and 50, and 3 timeouts to go down the field and do what many people have said that he cannot do. Now, don't get me wrong, he had plenty of chances in this game with Tom Brady throwing interceptions and different turnovers happening for him to take that lead in this game, as they should have, not capitalizing on it at all. But, and another thing too, you can't not capitalize all of that on all the opportunities that they had. You can't fail to capitalize on that. You can't have that blown coverage going into halftime, which lost in that game as well, if you look at that. You cannot have that. You cannot have those things going on and then expect, and then have to hinge it on that call. Given that's a terrible call, it is an awful call, in my personal opinion. It is an absolutely terrible call. I don't, no way that's a pass interference call. Like I said, do I think that that there was a little bit of a hold there and you could call a hold? Yes, but the referee did not throw that flag for the hold. He threw for the pass interference because it was a flop. It's a horrible, horrible miscall. But like I said, you're going to be pissed at the blown coverage on the Scotty Miller touchdown. And Brady, again, didn't really have, he had a legit touchdown drive. He went 66 yards through the touchdown to Evans. That's the actual legitimate touchdown drive for Brady. Other than that, he had the 3 interceptions. Because one was the one-play touchdown drive that he threw to Brady. And the other one was the blown coverage in the Scotty Miller thing. So, I mean, he didn't really have a legit, and that came off an interception where there was holding on it that wasn't called. There was not flags thrown at all throughout this entire game. And a flop at that point in the game, you cannot let a call like that determine a game and determine a moment of that magnitude. You can't do it. You cannot do it. It's just unacceptable. And Tom Brady, again, did not win in that football game. And I'm not trying to discredit him as not being the GOAT. And I've said it again. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He is not the quarterback that is making throws that nobody else can make. He is just a guy that isn't making the same mistakes that other quarterbacks were. And get this, he made those same mistakes today. It just so happened that Green Bay didn't capitalize on them. But I tell you what, it is bold to give Tom Brady the ball back in that situation. But that pass interference should have been pass interference. And we were robbed of being able to see Aaron Rodgers being able to try and overcome the GOAT that a lot of people do think that Aaron Rodgers is. And we were robbed of that as football fans. But as a Packers fan, and in the Packers in general, you cannot allow games to, especially a game in which the amount of opportunities you had to put that away, not only take a lead but put that away. Any team in any sport cannot. You do not deserve to win deserve to win the game if a referee can affect the outcome of the game. It does not come down. You know what I'm saying? It can't come down to that. You have to play well enough, and you should play well enough as to where any referee call cannot affect the final outcome of the game. And it's a damn shame that this is exactly, again, is what happened. Is it as bad as the Saints call when the Saints got screwed over? No, it's not as bad as a Tommy Lee Lewis thing. But it's a pretty bad miscall, in my personal opinion. And Brady got bailed out. People can't see that. Again, I don't think it takes away from him being the GOAT, but it certainly doesn't add to it. And now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of intangible stuff there. There's a lot of intangibles that Tom Brady has that I'm sure have come into play in the locker room. If it's my way or the highway, and he's taking care of a lot of business. And Bruce Arians paid comments to that. Bruce Arians' comments say that one guy really did change the entire attitude of the locker room, and that's all good and well. And I do believe that is the case for Tom Brady. And I think it's damn impressive. And like I said, a lot of intangibles and such. But also, this is the same guy. That said, this is what happens when you let Tom Brady do what he needs to do what he wants to do. Who is Bruce Arians to say that? Bill Belichick has 8 Super Bowls, 2 as an assistant, and then 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He's the greatest head coach to ever coach. He coached 6 Super Bowls with the greatest quarterback of all time, and then had 2 Super Bowls coaching some of the better defenses of all time with the greatest defensive player of all time. Who is Bruce Arians to say anything to Bill Belichick? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's just absolutely crazy I think it's asinine, absolutely asinine, those comments. lost a lot of respect. I mean, Bruce Arians, those are great comments. You know, those are absolutely great comments to make about Tom Brady, and 100% believe them. But for him to say, this is what happens when you to take that shot at Belichick, oh my God, I just so he's a two-time Super Bowl champion as an assistant, and a two-time Coach of the Year, but no Super Bowl as a head coach, and he's probably not going to win again this year. But anyways, we'll dig into that as we go later through the week. That's what I was just punching in there, just trying to see. God damn, I don't get it. I do not get it. Why he has the appear. It's one thing for the media to be critical of Bill Belichick. I know the media around New England has been incredibly critical of Bill Belichick, and of course, even more so now with Brady going to the Super Bowl. They're going to be even more, as critical as can be of Bill Belichick. Everybody thinks that he lost the deal and all this kind of thing. He wouldn't have done what he did in New England because Brady's barely having enough success to get over. He's not completing more than 60% of his passes. Or and still struggling and turning the ball over this one, which is something he doesn't normally do. And that's with Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Cameron Brate, Rob Gronkowski. Had none of those weapons in New England. None of them. And people in New England wanted him to stay and criticize Bill Belichick when he could barely do well enough to get by there in Tampa, putting up the same numbers Jameis did, less interceptions in the regular season, but come this game, the same numbers that Jameis would have done. Not even playing that well. I get the intangibles are different. I get the leadership is different, but let's settle down, people. The Super Bowl's not on Tom Brady. Not entirely, at least. I'm sure he has some say in terms of the leadership ability and the fact that he didn't turn the ball over a lot in the regular season, but my goodness, and pre-snap and progression-wise, he's very good, but my goodness, it's been just the play of this defense on the stretch, and players like Devin White. I mean, wow. And not only that play of their defense, I just think it's teams legitimately giving the game away. The Packers gave that game away. Gave it to Tom Brady. Gave it to Ronald Jones. Gave it to Fournette. Gave it to Bruce Arians. Gave it to the whole Tampa team. Gave that win away. 2 games in a row. The Saints and then the Packers just giving it away to Tampa. But somehow you're supposed to explain to me that Tom Brady is charging forward and leading these teams to these wins? When all it is just him capitalizing on field position? I mean, Jesus, I'd probably end up punching one of those in at some point. Put me back there, coach. I can hand it off. Absurd. Absurd. I'm not trying to knock Tom, because I do believe him to be the GOAT. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the whole reason they're in the Super Bowl is because of Tom Brady. Especially through these playoffs. They played a 7-9 team. Then they played a team, again, that beat themselves. With a quarterback that had over 11 broken ribs at 42. A hurt wide receiver, first-string wide receiver that was banged up, that couldn't even separate from a guy that Devontae Adams put on skates multiple times today. And then having multiple injuries. But not only that, they still should have won that game. And the Jared Cook fumble, just turning the ball over time and time again. Touchdown drives of 1, 3, and 5 plays against the Saints. 1, 3, and 5 plays of Tom Brady's touchdowns. Are you kidding me? And it's the same thing here. The turnovers in the field position and just the poor decision making and the penalty to bail him out to boot. As if all the other stuff wasn't enough. Tired of hearing of it. And again, I do believe him to be the GOAT. But I'm sick and tired of hearing about him leading them to another Super Bowl. It's impressive, don't get me wrong, damn impressive to go to 10 and have a chance to win 7. But I'm telling you right now, with this matchup, every team has pretty much given the game to Tampa. Kansas City will not do that. Kansas City will not do that. It does not matter how many scores Kansas City is down by. 2 or 3 scores. They still have the talent, the depth, and the play calling, and just this ability to score so quickly and so easily. That even a team that is up by 2 or 3 scores, like the Texans, like any team that or the Niners or the Titans, that they can still keep pressure on them even when they're trailing. It's incredible. Never seen anything like it. So we'll get into this. We'll get into this Chiefs Bills game as I pulled up my notes. This will not be the last matchup of this game. I know Trevor Lawrence is getting drafted this year to the Jags, and that's in the AFC. But I'm telling you right now, that's going to take a couple years to get going. The Bills and the Chiefs. This is going to be. There's two Goliaths going at it for a couple of years right now. Josh Allen going from 50% completion percentage his rookie year to 58% his sophomore year, and then 68% this year. There's still a lot of room for him to grow, obviously, in adjusting the pressure, pre-snap, progression-wise. There's still a lot of work for Josh Allen to do. But you cannot teach the athleticism he has. Only 24 years old. Electric. Incredible. People laughed at me when I said I'd still take him over Lamar Jackson, even after rookie year. Even after MVP season. Well, here we sit. And I took Josh. And while he doesn't win this game, and I thought he was going to be able to win this game, it's just, you cannot, I just don't, at that position, you can't teach that kind of athleticism. You can't teach the arm strength. You can't teach his mobility. But you can teach progressionary action, going through progressions, pre-snap reads, pre-snap audibles, all that stuff, and the chemistry that comes with it. You can teach all of that stuff. And he still has a lot of room to grow there, but I'm incredibly happy with what Josh Allen's done. Incredibly happy with what the Bills did this year. Incredibly happy for them and that entire franchise and the Bills Mafia and what they do for donating to other players' charities that they have beaten or have done things for them. I just all around very, very impressed with the Bills as a whole this year. And people are going to try and dig into the McDermott thing, going for 2 call. It's not that deep. That one is not that deep as the field goal decision not going for. Which, again, there's another thing I want to touch on. Why am I skipping over? Why am I skipping over this Packers game? Why am I skipping over it? Oh, man. Rodgers is questioning his future of the team. You know what I'm questioning, Aaron? Why you didn't run for that on the 3rd and goal? The 3rd and goal from the 8. Why didn't you run for that? Why did you throw it? I'm not saying you get in the end zone, but you get a hell of a lot closer than 8 yards. And I tell you what, if you do that, Aaron, you know Matt LaFleur goes for it. But from the 8, you already struggled to put any type of offense together. You've already stalled out on multiple drives that gave you field position off of turnovers. You weren't able to do anything with. Why should he have faith in you in that position? Especially after you tucked on 3rd and goal and tossed it out when you know you had room to run and get in front. And you tucked it away. And just flicked it off to somebody else. Instead of taking charge there and tucking it down your shoulder and getting as much as you could. Because you know you had it in front of you. When the game was on the line. But now you're going to question your future? Because you don't have faith in you? Have some faith in yourself. God, is that... It just, again, gave that game to Tampa. Gave that game away to Tampa. I think it was unacceptable for not to run it. Even if he doesn't get it, he gets it close enough. That's why they can go for it and get it. And there you go. You still have to go for 2, obviously, but you still have plenty of time. And again, but then that call isn't even that... From that spot, it's not that bad. From the 8. Because it's a long way to go for that. So taking the points you can get, I understand that. I really do. I really don't understand the call. Because if Aaron tucks that and gets it down and gets you more yardage and gets you closer, you can go for it. And you can feel more confident doing it. From the 8, it's just... There's enough space there for them to throw the ball. It's not like they're pinned right up back against the goal. I don't disagree with what LaFleur did. I don't. And it should have worked out for him. If it wasn't for that terrible, terrible pass interference call, it would have worked out for him. But here we sit and we got to talk about it. Here we sit and we got to talk about it. Questioning his future, LaFleur running it back. Listen, and it doesn't look good that he's now questioning his future and LaFleur saying he's the leader, we want him back. But you, in the first round, you took a quarterback. You took Jordan Love. I don't know. It bodes to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence going to the Jags. Watson's going to be moving, I think, to the Jets. There's going to be Matthew Stafford, possibly Matt Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, even Tua Tagovailoa if Miami wants to make a move. Obviously, I think Breeze is retiring. Jameis could be out there in the market or be staying with New Orleans. We don't know. You know, there's a lot of quarterback moving out there, too. And if you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix, oh, my goodness. Headline after headline. It's going to be headlines all through the offseason. as it normally is in the NFL, but especially if Aaron's a free agent, good. Look, Tom Brady 1 year, Aaron Rodgers the next. Oh, the NFL will be rolling in it. Incredibly happy with it. But yeah, you can question his future with the team all he wants. I question why he didn't run the ball there in third and goal, and he tucked, and he did tuck, but he did. Just disappointing handing that game to Tampa, and then on top of that call to influence it, a moment of that magnitude, that call where there haven't been calls all game for any passer. They've been letting them play the entire game, and they let that call influence the final outcome of the game. Don't even allow Aaron Rodgers to get shot. It's despicable. But anyways, I can sit there being angry about that all day. We'll go back to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bills. As I said, Josh Allen still has plenty of room to grow. Pre-snap progressions and patience too. I think he tries to rush the ball downfield too quickly. Of course, Spagnuolo is just a crazy blitzer. We'll get into obviously that'll be part of the fact that Spagnuolo coached those Giants defenses that did beat Brady's Patriots. But we'll get into that in later episodes coming up this week. Of course, I still got to post the live one if you didn't tune in for the live one. I will have it posted in Anchor pretty soon. I know it's up on YouTube still, just the live show itself, so you can rewatch that back too as well. So not to get into, I'm 0 for 2. I picked the Packers and I picked the Bills to move on, and neither of those two went through. Either of those worked. But again, as much as I complain about the game reps for Mahomes, he just doesn't miss a beat. He's such a natural. Just has such a natural feel, such a natural flow to the game of football. And I was wrong about that. Now, there's some other guys like McCole Hardman that might have been here or there. Yeah. But like I said, there's just... they are so good and so loaded on offense and so confident, have such good play calling from Andy Reid. It doesn't matter how much they trail by. It doesn't matter how much they trail by in the game. They still have all the ability in the world to put pressure on whoever they're playing. And no matter what point in the game. Other than the final whistle, what can stop this Kansas City team? I don't know. Injuries, that's it. And I say injuries, Patrick Mahomes got hurt. Chad Henne comes in to close it out. What's going to do it? The Martians and the Death Ray? And us actually picking Andre Iguodala? That's the only thing that's going to stop this Chiefs team right now. Is if we have Andre Iguodala on the line and hit the shot with the Martians pointing the Death Raiders. That is the only thing that is going to stop the Chiefs right now. Because I don't even think the Chiefs can stop the Chiefs. I think all these other teams have beat themselves when playing Tampa. Kansas City's not going to do that. Kansas City, with or without Mahomes, has been able to get it done. And he throws the pick. And he's still on 4th and inches. They go for it. And he gets it. Anything is possible. So, this team just has it all going for them. Looking for back-to-back Super Bowls. Or what could have been 3 if someone hadn't lined up off sides, D Ford. It's just incredible to me. Andy Reid, incredible head coach. And the fact that he hadn't had a ring until last year. And the fact that people question his legacy for that. Good Lord. Look at what the guy's doing now. And what he's going to be able to do. So, the Chiefs, man. Look at how good of a route runner Travis Kelce is. Now, he's better at what he does than Gronk is at what he was doing. So Gronk was a vertical threat. Gronk just get out there, run, hit people. Great blocker. Physical football player. Travis Kelce, smart. Quarterback mind. Just knows when to sit in the flat. Knows when to release to the flat. Knows when to run a post, run a flag. When a lot of option routes. Sit and goes and releasing and staying in for pass blocking. He's very good at all that. But for the position that he plays as a possession, like reception style tight end, and the routes that he can run and how good he is, as effective as he is as a blocker, it's damn impressive what he's able to do at a position of such physicality, but also run the routes that he does. Him and George Kittle are something else in that regard, in terms of their athletic ability, but also mental ability to release right into those stick routes, into those flood routes, and just their ability to weave through into this in their quarterback's head where to drop, where to sit. They just, especially Kelce having quarterback experience at a high level, it just allows him to know more than any other guy at that position. And again, prime Gronk, yes, but Travis Kelce right now is just absolute joy to watch. Absolute joy to watch right now, especially for the modern day tight end. There is none better than Travis Kelce out there right now. But like I said, the Chiefs are so talented, just deep. The consistency and the speed in which they can score. I mean, just play calling with Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, And Travis Kelce, just those three alone is a cheat code. And you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Williams, Le'Veon Bell, Sammy Watkins when he's back from injury, McCole Hardman. There's just so many. That kid Pringle's pretty good too. I mean, it just... Andy Reid's play calling is so good. When you have weapons like Mahomes, Hill, and Kelce all at the same time, it is an absolute cheat code. It is a cheat code. It is what it is. It is three to the right, 4 to the left, two wide button, whatever it is. All those Konami cheat codes back then. That's what it is. That's what Andy Reid has. He's all written down in the binder, and he uses them whenever the hell he wants to, especially on 4th down. And again today, they ran that same play on 4th and 1 that Henny ran, except they did it with Mahomes, but it was Tyreek Hill. It was the same thing. When either him or Kelce released the flat route for short yardage situations, it is nearly unstoppable. When they put him in motion, they have that head start. Like I said, not nearly impossible, is impossible. Absolute cheat code. But like I said, what is going to stop this Chiefs team besides themselves? And even then, I just think they're too good. Against the Texans last year, against these other teams, they've tried to self-sabotage. They've gone down 28, 21, 28 nothing. They've gone down, and they've come back all the way in the first half. Or 24 nothing. To go 28-24 at half. Like, they've even tried to do it. And even then, they still couldn't do it. They still couldn't lose it. So I don't know what's going to stop them. I really don't. And I can't. And I'm very interested to see what the opening line is of the Super Bowl. I really am. So it'll be the first time that an actual NFL team is going to have home field advantage in the Super Bowl as well, too. The Tampa Bay will host a Super Bowl. So, of course, that's worth 3 points. So Chiefs early favorites by 3.5. But obviously, the 3 for the home field being worth 3, so it's 6.5. And I think a touchdown is right. I think a little bit more than a touchdown is absolutely right for this. So Brady versus Mahomes, old guard versus new guard. KC versus Tampa. I don't really think it's Brady versus Mahomes because Brady is not going to keep up with Mahomes. The only way they keep up with Mahomes is if Mahomes turns the ball over 2-3 times and they get the field position, because they have not shown at all any ability, especially against a pass rush, which Spagnuolo, all he does is blitz, to get any consistent drives from the 20 to the 20 or 25 to the 25. He has not shown any ability or consistency to be able to do that in these playoffs. Hasn't done it. And I do not see the Chiefs turning the ball over and giving field position away to Tom Brady to let him do what he does. I don't see it. So, I mean, and normally, Andy Reid versus Tom Brady, I would wonder. But now it's Arians being the coach. It was always Belichick versus Reid, which would make you wonder, but now it's Arians. So it just seems like such a slam dunk for Kansas City, which isn't good because there's no such thing ever as a safe bet. And it's almost looking like that. So throughout the week, I hope that the spread starts to change in the favor of the Bucs and people start to take Tom. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it still is Tom Brady. Let's be honest with ourselves there. I have to be honest with myself there. As bad as it sounds right now, I still understand that it is Tom Brady. And shit's just going to happen because it is Tom Brady. So, I mean, there's that factor of it, too. He's got some of the pixie dust. You get the magic elixir. Michael's secret stuff in the bottle. And he's got it all. He's putting some sort of incense in the team fans on the bench or in the locker room. Has some sort of TB12 incense going. There's just something going on there. Something he's got going on there. Some magic. Some mage stuff. Some sort of specific cigar or something, or some vape. I don't know. But he's got something going on. It's just magical in how it gets done. And that's why there's still that factor. You can't name it. It's just there in terms of what that Tampa Bay team has. No reason at all. But they just have that. They have that factor. That's Tom Brady. It's what it is. That factor that a lot of those good teams that can't become great teams lack, Tom Brady single-handedly brings it for this team. Now you can't name it, can't analyze it. He just has it. Where I tell you I can analyze that the last couple teams have just gave the game away to him. But at the end of the day, he walked out on top. So certainly going to be an interesting Super Bowl. I will be breaking down a hell of a lot more of it throughout the week. Again, Pro Bowl is going to be coming up too. So all of that's going to be going between. So it's like Christmas for sports media people. So of course I don't have like a pass to like Radio Row or anything like that, and I don't even know what that's going to look like because last year COVID didn't affect it. So I don't know what that's going to look like this year with masks and such. Maybe they don't do it. Maybe they do it through Zoom. That's all going to look very different. Of course, I won't have a pass or anything to that. But like for any sports media person, like for me, it's like Christmas. Like my friend said, it must be like Christmas for you. Yes. There's nothing I love more than being able to break down pre and post Super Bowl and just watching the Super Bowl. There's nothing better. Nothing better. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can now segue into Liverpool again. The misery continues for Liverpool. And what did I tell you coming to the weekend? What did I tell you? If you watched a live show, and it might even have been a Wednesday show too, I told you they had no chance. No chance. Versus Man United. Now, Mo Salah showed up. It's about time. Because I tell you what, that extra gear, that spark, that edge that Liverpool always brings, that I've always hyped up so much, that I've always appreciated so much, that Jurgen Klopp has been able to get out of these guys, and get out of the guys that maybe never even really had it. It's not been there. And it hasn't been there for quite some time. Bobby hasn't had it. Sadio hasn't had it. Henderson's been rotating around to defense, so he can't really provide it. Alexander-Arnold hasn't had it. Andy Robertson hasn't had it. James Milner has it, but just doesn't have the talent to back it up. Thiago's incredibly talented, but he just doesn't have that edge, in my opinion. Divock hasn't had it. But I tell you who's had it. Who finally decided to just rip into that extra gear and push through it was Mo Salah. Showed up in another big game in a big way. Now, they still lose the game, obviously, but you need a big performance. You need your big-time players to step up, and this team should be full of a bunch of giants. That's Klopp's quote, right? My guys were effing giants out there. That's the quote. Well, they've been midgets. Midgets in the last month. But I tell you what, Mo Salah finally decided he said he's had enough. And went out there and scored two goals. Wasn't enough. And I tell you what, right now, we're going to talk about really good players that have that edge, players that want it that bad and just have all the ability to back it up. Marcus Rashford, second to none right now. Second to none as a winger in this world right now. Marcus Rashford, absolutely, just the whole season. Everything is off the pitch, everything is on the pitch. Just what a player he is. That pass he pinged all the way to Mason Greenwood, my God. Just has so much in his bag. It's so much ability in his bag. And he just continues to show. I mean, Bruno, of course, hitting an absolute beauty from a free kick. And like I've said time and time again as a Liverpool fan, I think that Bruno Fernandes has had more of an impact than Virgil van Dijk. He's had more of an impact for United than Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. Now, again, I don't want to knock Van Dijk for that. It's not a knock to Van Dijk. I just think in comparison, Fernandes has been more effective for Man United. Cavani should have made it 4-2. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was. Liverpool just really trying to claw back into it. Salah really showing the only effort. There's just a mental gap. There's just they're just hanging around a low gear. They can't, I think it's at a point where you need to shift down. You need to downshift a second, so you can speed back up to get up to fifth and sixth. And they're just hanging around the fourth at a set speed, and they cannot get it going. You can floor it all you want, but you just don't have the juice to get it there to be able to shift in the fifth. Sometimes you get a downshift. They haven't. And was this the downshift? Was this lost the downshift? I hope it was, because they need to speed back up before we get to Tottenham. Because I'm telling you right now, they lack the spark. They lack the energy. And Allison's shown some of that spark too in that. Don't get me wrong. But Liverpool and Spurs face off this Thursday, with Spurs sitting fifth. And it's just a massive game. Liverpool have won the last 5 meetings. And I'll break down more of it Wednesday, but it's a must-win. It's an absolute must-win. And of course, we're lucky that this FA Cup game didn't come in the league. And I think both teams are different from the league, which is why it was a 0-0 draw in the league, and then 3-2 in the FA Cup. Both teams approached it a little differently. But you hope that that's the downshift for Liverpool. This is finally where they start to pick their game back up. And like I said, it's not a title-challenging team. A title-challenging team does not go down the way they did to Burnley. Does not play at this level the way that they have, and lack the spark the way that they have. Not to mention, I don't know what the transfer business is. I don't know if it comes down to Michael Edwards and Jurgen Klopp. I don't know if it comes down to FSG. I would love to know, because, I mean, they bring in Thiago, that's great, but they sell off Brewster, and you're lacking goals. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't done anything for Sheffield United, but there's just, it's... Diogo Jota was a great move too. I think people forget that. People begging for a move in the winter. I get that. But we got Thiago and Diogo Jota, who've been fantastic, but we're both hurt. So and especially getting Jota back for goals, it'd be totally different. So I think pumping the brakes on that, but there still is a genuine lack of spark and lack of energy and lack of interest in a lot of these players. And it just needs, and it absolutely needs to change, and it needs to change fast, or else we're going to be out of the top 4 just as quick as we were champions of the world, champions of the Champions League, and champions of the Premier League, and World Cup. We're going to be out of the top 4 just as quick as we got into it to win all of that. If they don't pick up their game fast. And then the last thing to touch on, obviously, that happened this weekend was the Poirier McGregor fight and the rematch. And obviously Poirier leading with leg kicks to weaken McGregor and hand Conor his first ever decision by knockout or TKO, his first ever time losing that way. Never really thought you'd see it come to that for Conor McGregor. But I'm excited to see Conor progress this year. He mentioned it's a game of activity. And even though he was training, he hadn't matched the activity of a lot of these other guys in this division, a lot of his peers and his opponents. But he's still very committed to fighting in 2021, and he's going to match that activity level to try and get back to the top and to take on Khabib. Michael Chandler beat Dan Hooker and came out and called the entire lightweight division out after coming over from Bellator. And both were really just cool technical fights. I mean, I saw a lot of good just technical fighting from everybody all around in the UFC ring. But again, this really technically impressive Poirier, and like Chandler never really let Hooker get comfortable, just chased him around the ring the entire time, and eventually just knocked his ass out. But Poirier, too, for me, just impressive. He was impressive for me in terms of what he's doing outside the ring too. But McGregor, those leg kicks, just wasn't checking those leg kicks, and he got into trouble. I just don't think he could defend himself once he was trying to hop back off that leg because it just wasn't comfortable on it. It was just banged up from it. So I thought it was entertaining fight night for all his fights. It wasn't exactly like a few months ago when there were just bodies being dropped all over the mat. But the UFC has me hooked. I'm beginning to follow even more and more now. The UFC's pretty much got me hooked. And those two guys, and as respectable as they were, I'm really impressed with Conor the way he handled the loss as well. To me, a guy coming from where he came from, as low as he did, and coming up the way he did, he had to act the way he did to earn fights and get into that fight game so he could make a living for himself. And just it's such an incredible career through and through. And for him to be able to get to the proper 12 whiskey and have his own brand and raise his family up the right way and have his same wife the whole way through and overcome so much adversity, to be able to be respectful at the end of these fights and take it like a man and understand that he has to be not only better but more active to be a better fighter and to be a legitimate competitor to these guys. It's damn impressive the way he handled it, and I am incredibly happy and incredibly impressed, even though it was a loss, with Conor McGregor after this one. Now, does all this bode well the way he fights? I'm not too sure. Maybe the whole sanity approach for Conor McGregor isn't the way to go for him to be a good fighter, but only time will tell. I can tell you right now that I am impressed with Conor McGregor, and for a time I was against Conor McGregor. I am very fully behind and definitely rooting for Conor McGregor going forward. So that pretty much closes it up for us here on the Rufus Rundown. This is a little bit of a shorter version tonight. Just again, wanted to break down Championship Sunday, and then obviously the Poirier McGregor fight. I'm not in terms of knowing fighting, not a big technical breakdown guy. As you guys know that I like to break stuff down like that. Probably talk more NBA and stuff Wednesday. Obviously going to talk the Liverpool game Wednesday in the breakdown before Tottenham, and obviously how much that means for Tottenham as well too. So we'll still have stuff going throughout the week. I can't promise that I'm going to go an hour every time, and I'm sure people don't want me to go an hour on the podcast every time, but a half hour at the bare minimum. And again, 3 times a week. 3 times a week is the goal. 3 times a week is what you guys are going to get. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to go check out Vin's Organics over at vinsorganics.com. Also, elite athletic gear made by athletes for athletes. Use the code RUFUSRUNDOWN for 15% off. Be sure to check all my social medias and everything down below in the description as well. And check out Ethan Souza Design as well, too. Let's get creative. All your graphic design needs. And also the information for sponsoring his race car will all be listed down below in the description. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Rufus Rundown. Happy Monday, everybody, and have a good one.